Okay, go.
Just want to start today with a trigger warning disclaimer. This podcast contains descriptions of death and drowning. Hi, I'm Katie Carpenter.
I'm Terry Kovanitz.
We apologize for any and all mistakes today as we begin this episode of Titanic Transcripts.
The witness has been sworn. Will you give your full name to the reporter?
Hugh Woolner.
And your address?
29 Welbeck Street, London.
And what is your business?
I am a director of various companies.
Were you a passenger on the Titanic?
I was.
On her voyage from Southampton to the place of the accident?
I was.
And did you sail from Southampton or Queenstown?
From Southampton.
I will ask you in your own way to state your observations and experiences on the Titanic between Southampton and the place of the accident, and your observations and experience following the collision up to the time when you went on board the Carpathia.
What sort of observation do you wish about the period between Southampton and the place of the accident?
Well, I would like to know whether you observed the movement of the ship, whether you took interest in her equipment, whether you noticed her speed, where you were on the boat, what stateroom you occupied, just,
My stateroom was C-52.
And on what deck was that?
That is the deck below A deck, the inner stateroom.
Do you know anyone who was near you in the stateroom on B deck?
Nobody.
Did you have any friends aboard the ship?
One lady was recommended to my care by letters from friends in England. She joined the ship at Cherbourg, but I had not known her before.
Was she a survivor?
Yes, sir, Mrs. Churchill Candy.
Do you know whether Mr. Ismay had a stateroom on your deck?
I do not.
Tell us in your own way whether you paid any special attention to the movements of the ship, to the weather, to the equipment, and any circumstances that may tend to throw light upon this calamity up to the time of the collision.
I took the ordinary passenger's interest in the number of miles we did each day. Beyond that, I did not take any note of the speed of the ship.
And what were your observations?
I noticed that, so far as my memory serves me, the number of miles increased per day as we went on. If I remember right, one day it was 314 and the next day was 356, and that was the last number I remember. I think that was the last number that was put up on the ship's chart, or whatever it's called.
Did you note the equipment of the ship?
In what respect?
Whether she had lifeboats?
Yes, sir. I went right up onto the top deck and looked around, and I took particular note of the mechanism for raising and lowering the glass windows on the A deck. And I watched the sailors winding them up with these spanners that are used for that purpose. It struck me as being a rather slow job.
Did you see any drills aboard ship by the men between Southampton and the place of the accident?
I saw none.
Did you have any occasion to see the captain occasionally?
I asked somebody to point him out to me. Naturally, one is interested to know the appearance of the captain, and I know him by sight.
When and where did you see him?
I saw him at breakfast, and I think at dinner one evening in the saloon, but I'm not quite definite about dinner. I think so.
Did you see him the night of the accident?
Not until I came up onto the boat deck, and he was there on the port side.
Where was he?
He was on the port side?
Yes, but where with reference to the port side?
He was in between two lifeboats that were the farthest astern on the port side, giving orders.
The two that were the farthest astern?
Yes, sir.
And how long was this after the collision?
I did not look at my watch, but I should think it was a half an hour.
Did you hear him say anything, or did you say anything to him?
Yes, I did. I made one remark to him. He said, I want all the passengers to go down on A deck because I intend they shall go into the boats from A deck. And I remembered noticing as I came up that all those glass windows were raised to the very top. And I went up to the captain and saluted him and said, "Haven't you forgotten, sir, that all those glass windows are closed?" And he said, "By God, you're right. Call those people back." Very few people had moved, but the few that had gone down the companionway came up again, and everything went on all right.
Oh. Were the boats lowered to A deck and filled from A deck?
No, from the boat deck.
From the upper deck?
Yes.
Then the order must have been countermanded.
Immediately.
If you can, I would like you to tell the committee where you were on Sunday preceding the accident.
I was in the smoking room at the time of the shock.
Who was in there with you, if anyone, that you now know or could name?
Mr. Stephenson, a Swedish gentleman whose acquaintance I made on board, who sat at my table.
Anyone else?
Yes, there was a Mr. Kennett.
Anyone else?
I think, but I'm not quite certain, a Mr. Smith. He had been with us quite a short time before.
Did you see Mr. Stead that evening?
I do not know him.
When did you first know of the impact?
We felt it under the smoking room. We felt a sort of stopping, a sort of, not exactly shock, but a sort of slowing down. And then we sort of felt a rip that gave a sort of slight twist to the whole room. Everybody, so far as I could see, stood up, and a number of men walked out rapidly through the swinging doors on the port side and ran along the rail that was just behind the mast. I think there was a mast standing out there, and the rail just beyond.
And what did you do?
Well, I stood, hearing what the conjectures were. People were guessing what it might be, and one man called out, "An iceberg has passed astern," but who it was I do not know. I have never seen the man since.
What did you do then?
I then went to look for Mrs. Candy, because she was the lady in whom I was most interested, and met her outside her stateroom.
And what took place? Just detail what you did.
I said, "Some accident has happened, but I do not think it's anything serious. Let us go for a walk." And we walked the afterdeck for quite a considerable time. As we passed...
Wait, for how long a time?
I should think for 10 minutes or more. As we passed one of the entrances to the corridor, I saw people coming up with life belts, so I went inside and asked the steward, "Is this orders?"
That is, you asked him if the life belts were ordered.
Yes, I shouted to someone going by.
An employee with a life belt on?
No, standing at the entrance, and he said, "Orders." I went back to Mrs. Candy and took her to her stateroom, and we got her life belt down from the top of the wardrobe and tied hers onto her, and then she chose one or two things out of her baggage, little things that she could put in her pocket or something of that sort, and I said, "We will now go up on deck and see what has really happened."
Did you yourself put a life belt on?
Oh, yes, sir. Excuse me, I missed that. I went back to my cabin and brought out one and put it on myself, and I said... Oh, and I took the other one. There were two in the room with me. I met someone in the passage who said, "Do you want that?" And I said no and gave it to him.
And who was that? Do you know?
No, I do not know who it was.
What did you do then?
Then I took Mrs. Candy up onto the boat deck, and there we saw preparations for lowering the boats going on. My great desire was to get her into the first boat, which I did, and we brought up a rug, which we threw in with her, and we waited to see that boat filled. It was not filled, but a great many people got into it, and finally it was quietly and orderly lowered away.
Which boat was that?
That was the sternmost boat on the port side, number 6, I think.
It was a full-size lifeboat?
Yes.
Or collapsible?
No, it was a lifeboat.
Were any officers standing near it?
The captain was close by at that time.
And did he assist in loading it?
Yes, he sort of ordered the people in. He said, "Come along, madam," and that sort of thing.
Was there any difficulty in getting them to enter the lifeboat?
Yes, there was a certain amount of reluctance on the part of the women to go in, and then some officer said, "It's a matter of precaution," and then they came forward rather more freely.
Do you recall how many men were put into the boat?
No, I cannot. There were very few, I think.
Or how many women?
Oh, I did not count them, but it struck me as not being very full, but it was rather difficult to get it filled.
Mrs. Candy got in that boat?
Yes.
After you had put her in the boat, what did you do?
I looked around to see what else I could do.
Did you find anything to do?
I did what a man could. It was a very distressing scene, the men parting from their wives.
Did you assist in loading the boats?
Yes, sir.
And how many boats?
I think nearly all, except one on the port side, and Mr. Stephenson stayed by me all the time also.
This Swedish acquaintance you formed stayed by you?
Yes, sir.
What, if any, order was given by officers, or what did you hear regarding the filling of the lifeboats?
I do not think I remember any orders. I actually don't think any orders were necessary.
You mean that the men stood back and passed the women and children forward?
Yes.
And there was no crowding?
None.
No jostling?
None.
Were these boats all filled in your presence?
On the port side?
On the port side.
Not all. I think we missed one because I said to Stephenson, let us go down and check on the deck below and see if we can find any people waiting about there. So we went down to look on A deck, and we found 3 women who did not seem to know their way, and we brought them up.
And who were they? Do you know?
I do not know.
Passengers or part of the crew?
No, they might have been, I should think, second or third class passengers, but I did not examine them very carefully. You see, it was not very light.
You took them up to the boat deck?
Yes, and they got on all right.
Did you see officers at these boats besides the captain?
Yes, the first officer?
Mr. Murdoch?
Yes, he was very active.
From your own observation, are you enabled to say that, so far as you know, the women and children all got aboard these lifeboats?
So far as I could see, with the exception of Mrs. Strauss.
Oh, did you see her get into the boat?
She would not get in. I tried to get her to do so, and she refused altogether to leave Mr. Strauss. The second time we went up to Mr. Strauss, and I said to him, I am sure nobody would object to an old gentleman like you getting in. There seems to be room in this boat. And he said, I will not go before the other men.
What happened then?
Then they eventually lowered all the wooden lifeboats on the port side, and then they got out a collapsible and hitched her onto the most forward davits, and they filled that up, mostly with steerage women and children, and 1 seaman and a steward, and I think 1 other man, but I'm not quite certain about that. And when the boat seemed to be quite full and was ready to be swung over to the side and was to be lowered away, I said to Stephenson, there's nothing more for us to do here. Oh, no, excuse me, something else happened while that boat was being lowered. There was a sort of scramble on the starboard side, and I looked around, and I saw 2 flashes of a pistol in the air.
2 flashes of a pistol?
Yes.
Pistol shots?
Yes, but they were up in the air at that sort of an angle. I heard Mr. Murdoch shouting out, get out of this, clear out of this, and that sort of thing, to a lot of men who were swarming to the boat on that side.
Swarming into the boat?
Yes.
Was that into this collapsible boat?
It was a collapsible, yes, sir.
That was the first collapsible that was lowered on the port side?
On the starboard side. That was the other side.
When it got daylight, did you see any icebergs or floating ice?
Yes, a number of icebergs.
How near the place where the Titanic went down?
It was rather difficult to identify that unless one took the wreckage that was floating away as an indication of where she went down. Taking that, I would say that the nearest was several miles away, but there were a great many of them.
At daylight?
Yes, and they were different colors as the sun struck them. Some looked white, and some looked blue, and some sort of mauve, and others were dark gray.
Did any look black?
Dark sort of gray.
And how large were they?
It is very difficult to tell.
Did you see any as large as the Capitol building here?
No. There was one double-toothed one that looked to be of good size.
How high? 100 feet?
I should think it must have been, but it was a considerable distance away.
So about 20 or 30 feet higher than the Titanic.
It may easily have been that.
Did you see any field ice?
Yes.
And how much of that?
I saw a faint line, what looked like a faint line along the horizon, but when we got on the Carpathia, we saw it was a huge floe which stretched out. I do not know how far, but we were several hours steaming alongside it.
20 or 30 miles?
Quite that, I should say.
And did the field ice follow closely these icebergs?
No, they looked more like scouts out in front.
Oh, out in front?
By out in front, I mean to the south.
That is, the icebergs were out south of the field ice.
That is the way it looked to me.
And the field ice came down behind it how far?
One could not see whether it moved at all. It seemed to be stationary the whole time, but there were lumps on it, sort of lumps like haystacks or little mountains.
I have not yet been able to discover, and I hope you will pardon me for persisting, how far to the north of these large icebergs did this field ice lay?
From the boat, it looked like a little white, thin line along the horizon. I could not possibly judge how far.
That is the water line.
The water line, and then a line of brilliant ice. From the boat, I could not tell how far it was.
Did the icebergs seem to be moving?
I did not watch them very closely.
The Carpathia lingered in that vicinity for an hour or so?
Yes. She seemed to come up very slowly, and then she stopped. Then we looked out, and we saw that there was a boat alongside her, and then we realized that she was waiting for us to come up to her instead of her coming to us, as we hoped. Then, just at that time, when we began to row toward the Carpathia, Mr. Lowe came down with his boat under sail again, and hailed us and said, "Are you collapsible?" We answered, "Yes," and he said, "How are you?" I said, "We have about all we want." And he said, "Would you like a tow?" So we answered, yes, we would. He took our painter and towed us away from the Carpathia, and then we looked and saw that there was another little group of people standing up in the sea who had to be rescued. And there were about...
Where were they?
They were standing on an upturned boat.
That is on the bottom of an upturned boat?
Yes, sir.
And how many of them were there?
I do not know how many, but it looked like a dozen or 13.
Were there any women among them?
One woman with black hair. A man helped her in the boat first when it came alongside.
And did you go in that boat?
We were only our painter's length away. Mr. Lowe took them all aboard on his boat.
Would you recognize them?
The men?
Yes.
One man I saw was a first-class passenger whom I'd seen in the saloon.
Look at that young man back of you and see whether you saw him there.
I do not remember him.
Who had charge of that upturned boat?
I do not know at all.
Any officer?
I did not recognize anybody. I did not know any of them by sight. They were simply people.
Was this boat that you jumped into hanging straight down from the davits?
Rather out than straight.
On the boat deck, or was it held out from the side of a deck by anything?
No, it seemed to me to be hanging out from the side of the ship.
The ship listed to the port side?
Yes, and that is why I judged that the boat was hanging out so far away.
And that threw this lifeboat out away from the side of the ship?
Yes, sir. That is how I judged it.
About 9 feet?
Yes, sir. I should judge it was about that. About 8 feet. 6, perhaps. It was not less than 8 feet, and probably 9.
Did the lifeboats appear to be new?
I could not tell. They were perfectly watertight.
Did you have any food or water in your lifeboat?
We had a water breaker, I think they call it, but there was no water in it.
Did you have any food in the boat?
Not that I know of.
Did anybody ask for food?
No. A sailor offered some biscuits, which I was using for feeding a small child who had waked up and was crying. It was one of those little children for whose parents everybody was looking, the larger of those two.
Oh, his mother was not on this boat?
No.
And how old was that child?
I should think it was about 5, as nearly as I can judge.
Do you know what nationality it was?
I could not quite make it out.
Do you know whether it was English or American?
I should say it was not either. I should think it was...
I mean whether it belonged to an English parent or American parent.
It looked like a French child, but it kept shouting for its doll, and I could not make out what it said before that. It kept saying it over again.
Were there 2 of these children on that boat?
I cannot tell. This is the only one that I had anything to do with. There were several other children in the boat. We handed them into a bag, and they were pulled up on the Carpathia's side.
And have you seen them since?
Yes, I think I saw it once on the Carpathia. It had very curly hair, light brownish curly hair.
Was the child identified on the Carpathia?
Not as far as I know.
From what you say, Mr. Woolner, I should judge that you have no complaints to make about the discipline of the crew or the conduct of the officers.
Absolutely none.
And you do not know whether these men that crowded up around there and crowded the women back were of the crew or were passengers?
I could not possibly tell.
And that is the only instance where they did crowd?
That is the only instance that I saw.
On the way out from this group of lifeboats that were tied together to the swamp boat where those people were standing up in the water...
The first one or the last one?
The first one. At that time, did you hear any revolver shots?
Yes.
And who fired them?
I think it was then. I do not know who fired them. Somebody fired, I think, 4 shots in rapid succession. And we in our boat were wondering what it was, and somebody in our boat said, "I suppose it's meant for a signal."
Could you see the man who fired the shots?
No, they were so rapid one hardly had time to turn one's head around.
So you would not recognize him if I were to point him out to you?
No, he was quite a ways off.
Did that firing of those shots seem to add to the composure of the situation?
It did not excite anybody. Nobody really took any notice of it. They did not know what it meant, and they did not take any notice of it.
Were you looking at the Titanic when she went down?
Yes.
And as you were looking at her when she went down, did you think she broke in two?
I did not think so.
You did not hear any explosions?
No, sir, only a continuous rumbling noise.
As she was going down?
Yes.
Were you where you could see the funnels?
I could not really see a thing when the lights went out. It was all so brilliantly lighted at the stem end, and suddenly the lights went out, and your eyes were so unaccustomed to the darkness you could see nothing, and you could only hear sounds.
Did you see anyone on the ship at all when you jumped into this lifeboat?
There was nobody in sight.
Nobody on your deck?
Not a soul.
And you saw no one on the other decks, I presume, as you were being lowered? I presume it was impossible for you to see those upper decks when you got out from the ship.
Quite so. We were right up close, and it was like the side of a house. We could see nothing at all.
Do you think you've said everything that tends to throw any light on these inquiries regarding the ship, its crew, or officers, or equipment?
I cannot think of anything else, sir.
And you say the speed of the ship greatly increased.
Judging by the log.
And you looked at the log.
Quite so.
Did you look at it the first day out?
Well, I was not very much interested because it was not a full 24 hours, so I do not remember what the figure was.
Oh, did you look at it the second day out?
Yes.
And what did it record then?
As I remember, it was 514. 514, I think. It was either 500 or 400. I think it was 514, and then 546 the next day.
You said 314 before.
Oh, did I? I meant 514.
You meant 514 and 546.
Yes.
You want your statement to stand corrected in that regard?
If you please, if you will kindly correct it.
And when did you next see the log?
I do not remember any more than that.
And when did you see the record next?
I do not remember any figure.
You saw it only twice?
Yes, sir. It was about 40 miles more the second time, I think.
It had increased.
About 40 miles, as nearly as I can remember. I have not thought of the figures since I looked at them, and I do not pretend to remember them accurately.
That was for one day's run?
Yes, a full day's run, 24 hours.
And what time was that, do you know? Was it noon Sunday?
Yes, noon Sunday. It was put up at about 1 o'clock a Sunday in the companionway.
Mr. Woolner, did you see the California at the scene of the wreck?
I saw her when she came up within a mile or two of the Carpathia.
And did you see any ice between the Californian and the Carpathia at that time?
I don't think there was any between them, no. I think there was some behind the Californian.
Did you see the Mount Temple that morning?
I did not.
This Canadian Pacific Railway boat?
No.
Okay, I think that is all, Mr. Woolner, and we are very much obliged to you for your courtesy. At first, I was thinking, why did they call him?
Absolutely.
But
that was
I'm
one of my
really
first
glad they did.
Yeah. I was like, what is going on? Well, I just didn't understand. I mean, it's classic Smith. Why is he asking him all these questions about the mechanics of the boat? Like, he's a stockbroker.
Yeah. Well, he's a director of various companies.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah.
That sounded so posh. And I'm thinking, oh, no, here we go.
Yeah.
But he was not like that at all.
No. I have a lot of jobs. Gigs, Instacart.
That's hysterical. But he, I don't even know what I'm
Sorry,
saying.
yeah, okay, sorry, I derailed you, but it ended up being way more interesting than we thought, because, I was like 20 pages of Smith just asking if he noticed how fast the boat was going. Yeah, nope.
But I was impressed that he was bold in his conviction to approach the captain.
Oh, for sure.
He did not know or had not even shaken hands with.
Well, I guess they didn't know quite that it was such an emergency yet, but I mean, you can see it's heating up and getting serious. Yeah, to be like, oh, did you forget though? The windows, instead of just thinking it, and then
that impressed me. Without his boldness, even with the stewards and stuff, he would have known nothing.
Yeah,
and because he did know, he was so quick to act.
Yeah, that was awesome, and I thought that it was really great. I had a note also that he was like such a helper immediately.
Yes.
Like, went to find the missus that he knew from the letters, got her life belt on, grabbed the spare one from his room,
which was so kind
to give to somebody. Like, in
case someone needs it.
You might have tunnel vision in an instance like this, and who could blame you? Yeah. So it was really admirable that he acted the way he did.
And she was very lucky to be in his care because he did ask questions, and he knew to get her that she was on the first boat.
Yeah,
just shows how quickly he acted. And I liked that he was so And then I did what else I could do.
Yep, that I have that too. I did what a man could do.
And then when he was saying about like the distressing scene and the men parting from their wives, it's such a short description, but it brought such a good image, or sad image. But he was
but like
really
a very
short
clear
with his
picture.
words, but very articulate. With
I
what he had
definitely
to
agree
say.
because I do think besides, and I mean he touched on it too, but besides Mr. and Mrs. Strauss, we don't really think too much about. We're picturing all the chaos and stuff, but I guess, or maybe just me personally, I'm forgetting that also these people are, probably seeing their partner for the last time and maybe not realizing it or maybe being scared of it, or, it's so much more serious than just hop on a boat to survive. These are families, and then now also, because there's a kid with the missing parents.
So real. And, that kid...
I would have liked if they had said he or she.
Me too.
At some point. It just started to get a little nuts.
But it was so typical, I think, that he would be the one caring for the kid.
Yeah. It seems like if he notices a role, he immediately steps in.
If I were his friend Stephenson, I would have stayed right with him.
Yeah, smart choice.
I wrote when he said that, let's go down to the deck below and see, and then there were 3 women that were lost.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, my heart.
Yeah, because you might not have, so he probably saved their lives. Like
he was so thoughtful, head on a swivel.
Yep, exactly.
To use your phrase, head on a swivel. I was so impressed with that. And the way he described the ice stuff.
Yeah.
Not the ice,
it was kind of beautiful. The icebergs and the flow of ice and the field ice.
Like a water line and then a line of brilliant ice, and that it was just a line. And then when he was on the ship, his point of view changed, and it was so different. I thought that was described very well. And then when he said about the Carpathia showing up, and then she stopped, and she was waiting for us to go to her instead of coming to us as we hoped.
Yeah, as we had hoped.
Dang.
We got to row.
We're so tired.
I'm over it.
Oh, okay, we're coming.
All right. Do I just go around this ice or through? By hand?
Yeah, I felt like his testimony was so real.
Yeah.
Like I could see that. Mm-hmm. And no water in the breaker?
Yeah, I'm surprised because I feel like everyone else. Have we heard this before that they didn't have water in that one? Or okay, because I was surprised.
Like no food or
Well, and then he said there's no food, but he had biscuits that he was giving to the child, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
so
that's a bummer about the water.
No water, and I thought it was really interesting that all these people in all these lifeboats. And then there's a lot going on. But they all had to, if they could see it, they watched the Titanic go down because you would have to. Yeah, it must have been so shocking. And a lot of them also thought that they were going to row back and get back in. Exactly. And that there's still no conclusive, did it break in two or not?
Yeah.
I find that really surprising.
It is pretty wild. But, I mean, he, again, a very good testimony. It would be correct if you're staring at this for so long and it's lit up and then all of a sudden it goes dark. Of course you're not going to really see or notice exactly what happens in the moments right after because you can't tell.
Which fits his whole persona.
Yeah.
That me
personally, I have horrible night vision. As soon as the lights get turned off, even the kids and my husband, they can go see anything and find anything, and I'm still feeling the walls.
Good thing you're not a pirate.
That's right. Yeah, no, I would not be a good pirate.
No, you would not.
I'd have to be on day shift.
And then, did you see any ice between the Californian and the Carpathia at this time? You know?
Yeah.
Dum, dum, dum.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that
also,
interesting.
I had one more note that, it makes sense if you think about it, but it was just so funny the casualty with which he said it, that he was just like, yeah, we put them in a bag and they went up. My kids.
Kids, you know,
what else? In this big bag.
What else are you going to do with them? Put them in a bag. That is funny. Well, it was a nice short one. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
That's all I have, so we'll see you next time.
Bye. As always, thank you for listening. Please be sure to let us know what you're thinking in the comments or at titanictranscripts@gmail.com. Also be sure to check out our Facebook page, Titanic Transcripts, for more interesting tidbits and general discussion.